So Ben Carson is the current head of housing and urban development within the Trump administration. Now, what exactly qualified him for that position outside of running against Donald Trump in the 2016 primary? Probably nothing, but that's okay because that's not even why he's on the news. He's on Fox News because he was brought on to talk about the string of violence that's been happening across the country given these past few weeks. I mean, all the riots and protests. So let's hear what his takeaway from this is.
Well, it is heartrending, when you see all the young children who've been murdered, quite frankly. And what's happening here is you have so many of these young men in particular who grow up in homes without a father figure, and the first authority figure that they run into is the police or someone who's badder than they are. And, they learn habits and things that really are not conducive to thinking about other people and thinking about the welfare of other people. And our society is breaking down in terms of the family values that you pass on. It's almost politically incorrect to talk about family values and about doing the right thing, because then someone comes up and say, well, which family are you talking about? That's not right. There was a congressperson last week who said that a lot of this violent behavior is induced by the fact that people are poor and people are hungry. Give me a break. I grew up around a lot of poor and hungry people, and they weren't like that. So we have to stop making excuses, take some personal responsibility, and we need to work with these young people. Your previous guest was right on target when he said that there should be more community policing. Police should know the people in the community. They should know the police. I was talking to a police officer in Baltimore. He says he walks the same beat every single day. He knows everybody. Everybody knows him. He says he never has to buy lunch because everybody's always inviting him in for lunch.
Well, that's good for that guy. So I probably disagree with 99% of what Ben Carson just said there. First off, just what was that whole thing? Like, oh, the first time that they meet an authority figure or someone better than they are. Like, I mean, this is just to assume. I mean, we're talking about he's talking about individuals within the Black community that grow up without a father. I mean, someone that's better than they are. I mean, does that imply that like the mother that was raising the child, that they are not qualified to raise a child? I don't even know what the implications of that are supposed to be. But then he obviously makes this kind of assertion that there is a politically correct attack against family values and doing the right thing. And I think that is pretty absurd. I don't think that there's any evidence that there is any sort of push against families. I haven't seen that. I mean, you can say that like divorce rates are rising, but I don't think that has to do with and anything that like Ben Carson would attribute it to. I don't think is why that's happening. But it's just this kind of, people like to tune into Fox News and they like to see these things happening. They see that, oh, there's order, there's disorder, there's chaos, and like, oh, it's because we're not respecting the family the right way. It's not because of the vast levels of income inequality or the terrible way that this government has handled the pandemic that has swept this nation. No, it's because we haven't been talking about family as much or doing the right thing. I don't know in what circle like doing the right thing is not an appropriate thing to do. It's just these outlandish claims. But then the thing that I found just most disappointing about what he said was that it just said, oh, I grew up around people who are poor and they didn't commit crime, so obviously these people, there's something else wrong with them, I guess is the implication. I don't even know what he's trying to say, but I mean, we know very clearly from data that poverty is directly linked to violent crime and just crime in general. And so when you have these little pockets of communities where it's very difficult to get out of, and they are disproportionately in poverty, you're going to see more crime in those areas. And these areas are hit harder by policing. These areas are hit harder by, the drug war. There's certain economic variables impact these communities much more. There's a number of reasons why these communities are the way they are. I mean, when we talk about the Black incarceration rate, and when it's weird when we're talking about, oh, the number of individuals in the Black community that grow up without a father, and then when we look at the Black incarceration rate, it's like, oh, I wonder if this is there's some sort of cycle that's taking place, that maybe we should, over policing is not the answer, which is what Ben Carson kind of calls for at the end, that we should just more policing. And he says community policing, I guess, but that's not a substantive thing that he's saying. He's just saying, because he's saying that that's like kind of already happening, and he's just like kind of saying, oh, there's this guy and people buy him lunch because he knows the people that he polices, and that's great. But that's not a real policy recommendation. It's nothing. He doesn't say anything of any real substance. Calls out political correctness, says that poor people, it's that like that being poor isn't linked to poverty, and there's something else wrong with these people, and just all these outlandish things. It's pretty ridiculous. And once again, I mean, I don't see how this is tied to what he did, what his like current position within the administration is, or just in general. I mean, he used to be a surgeon. I just don't really see why he's brought on to talk about this. And then when he doesn't offer anything in the way of policy, it makes people ask some questions as to why he specifically was brought on to talk about this topic. But anyway, that's all I gotta say on this. If you disagreed with anything I say in this video, please leave a comment down below. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.